Let's now move into fantasy hot take and debate. So I love this segment. It's so fun because we get to bash our friends and they can't take it personally or else they get kicked off the show.
Oh, I got some spicy ones. I might have went too spicy on these. Jeez. Okay, this is going to sound crazy.
Yeah, that is a very hot take for me. I'm going to give that a 0.1 confidence rating. I don't want to say flat out 0 for anything. I don't want to say flat out 10 for anything, but a 0.1 because, yet again, if that dude's healthy, he's not coming off the field. He's clearly the second most talented offensive piece on that team.
Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne have amazing camaraderie because I don't know if you guys know this. It might be a shock to you, but they played college together. Hey everyone, welcome to the WNP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson. Join me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how you doing on this lovely Wednesday afternoon?
Oh, I am doing swell. Thank you for asking. I'm excited to talk today. We got an okay guest on the show. Should be a good time. Talking a little bit fancy hot takes, as you can tell by the name of the show. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How you doing?
I am doing really well, and you said we got a fancy guest. We absolutely do. Second time joining the WNP podcast. First time coming on as the host of the Flashy Stats Fantasy Podcast, Giuseppe Vitale. Welcome back to the show. So glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I've been dying to have another crossover episode, and like I said, this is the first time doing football, so I'm really excited to do it.
Absolutely. The last time we recorded, it was during the first season or first year of the WNP podcast, and we did some basketball, and I don't think you started Flashy Stats yet when we were doing that. So to have you on now, we're going to let you plug that a little bit later, but first we got to hop into the main course, the main episode, and that is Fantasy Hot Take and Debate. So for those of you who are unaware about Fantasy Hot Take and Debate, this is going to be specifically about fantasy football this year, whether it be Dynasty, Redraft, PPR, half-point PPR, whatever it is, we'll specify that as we give our hot takes. But we're going to present a hot take, present our case, why we think the hot take is necessary, I guess, and we'll give a confidence rating. So what we did before is we would always go, oh, it's possible, it's not possible. Instead, we're changing that. We're going to do a confidence rating 1 through 10, how confident we are in the hot take. And then the others will come in, they'll give a confidence rating and either bash the person giving the hot take or support them. So that's going to be how it rolls. Before we hop into our hot takes, though, there was something I wanted to talk about. Indianapolis Colts, they have two big injuries with Carson Wentz, Quentin Nelson, both going down with weird foot injuries, timeline 5 to 12 weeks, surgery, no problems whatsoever. There's been a lot of talk about the Colts needing to go get a quarterback, whether it be Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Foles, someone else. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Do you think it is necessary for the Colts to go out and go for another quarterback?
I would probably say no. I mean, sure, you kind of need that upgrade at the QB position. I mean, I like Jacob Eason coming out of college, but thought he was like a long-term project if you even had any chance to start in the NFL. So you probably do want an upgrade if you want to have a chance to win this year. But to go out and trade for, a Nick Foles or a Jimmy G, whatever guy that might be, it's going to be way too big of a cap hit. Like, you can't have that much money between two quarterbacks. I mean, it would just cause a nightmare situation in Indy. So I really don't think that they are going to, nor that they should. If they're going to try to get anybody, just I'd say a lower level guy, someone who, someone kind of like a Jacoby Brissett, who already has a little bit of familiarity with the system, that would work out. He's a little bit cheaper, but to go get like a bigger name, no.
Yeah, I think that with a team trying to compete right now, it's so hard to commit more money to another quarterback, especially after just trading for Carson Wentz. But I do agree that given Carson Wentz's injury history and how ambiguous this injury is, you don't know how long he could be out for. I would be searching the market for a cheap, like an experienced quarterback. But someone that comes off the page to me is Gardner Minshew. I think that he's not going to play with Trevor Lawrence there. So I don't see why the Jags would want to keep holding on to him. I think they'd give him a chance to go play with the Colts. And I think Gardner Minshew would be really excited to play with the Colts.
I know Chase likes that because he thinks Gardner Minshew is a top 32 quarterback in the league. I don't necessarily agree, but that can be a conversation for later. I'm glad that you guys, stayed on that path because I saw a lot of people, including Chase, liking tweets yesterday about, Jimmy Garoppolo needs to go to the Colts because Trey Lance has looked so good. And I know it was more support for Trey Lance, but people saying that Jimmy Garoppolo should go to the Colts or Nick Foles should go to the Colts, joke. Like, so much cap hit already with Carson Wentz. You don't need to double it with Jimmy Garoppolo. Nick Foles isn't as bad, but I don't think Carson Wentz will be very happy. You're trying to fix his confidence issues, and you're going to bring in the guy who basically stole his love from Philly, and Nick Foles stole his shine when he won the Super Bowl, when it was really Carson Wentz that got them there before his big injury. So I think that'll just kill it. I think just let Jacob Eason ride. It's a 5 to 12 week injury, so who knows? He could be back week 1. He could be back week 7. Their front half of the schedule is really tough. So I don't even know if they get those wins with Carson Wentz in the lineup. So just roll with Jacob Eason, I think. No need to add extra cap.
Yeah, with those two quarterbacks specifically, I just think the fit just doesn't make sense for me. Like you said, like Garoppolo making way too much money, and they're gonna have to pay both him and Wentz together at the same time. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then they're gonna be competing for a spot that neither of them are gonna be happy with. And then you can get Nick Foles, who, like you said, just took over his shine, when he was at his peak. I think that just brings flashbacks to Carson Wentz. Like, that's not what he wants. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would prefer, if I was the Colts, to find another quarterback than Jacob Eason. But you can ride it out. I mean, give him a chance. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well spend a third-round pick on the guy. You can give him the opportunity, but if you can get Gardner Minshew for like a relatively cheap price, or maybe even Jacoby Brissett for a cheap price, then maybe it's worth it at that point, because they're going to hold you in the games longer than Jacob Eason most likely. But who knows? I mean, Jacob Eason has a lot of raw talent, but it's just never really refined his game. Maybe him sitting for the last year or two, whatever it's been now. Maybe it's kind of helped him find his game a little bit, and maybe he can come out there and surprise.
I think if I'm the Colts, too, I wouldn't be too worried about it. You got an amazing defense, a top 5 defense in the league. You also have 3 very capable running backs in Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines. So whoever's in the starting quarterback role for the first little bit, if it's not Carson Wentz, I think they shouldn't be too worried. So that's why I'm completely fine with going Jacob Eason. But that's going to do it for our Colts talk. Let's now move into fantasy hot take and debate. So I love this segment. It's so fun because we get to bash our friends and they can't take it personally or else they get kicked off the show. So it's so good. We're going to start with Chase. We're going to let him set kind of a grand stage of it all. Let us know like how all this is going to work. So he's going to give his confidence rating, give us the hot take, tell us why he thinks, this is possible and everything. And then we'll come in, give it a 1 out of 10 confidence rating and just completely tear him apart.
All right. Well, my number 1 is that Mike Williams will finish the top 18 wide receiver, and I am a 9.9 out of 10 on this one. I'm pretty much full confidence. I don't want to go 10 out of 10 and just completely guarantee it, but I will all but guarantee it. Mike Williams is the type of receiver that Justin Herbert would prefer to throw the ball to. The way he throws, he's a lot more of he's not like just a complete big play quarterback, but he's got that big play ability. He likes guys who have some speed, have some size, who can get some separation. And Mike Williams has all the talent to do that. He just has kind of yet to do it. He's had seasons where he's produced a ton of yardage. He's had seasons where he's had 10 touchdowns. This year where it finally all comes together. He's going to have over 1,000 yards. He's going to have 8-9 touchdowns. He's going to end up being the highest scoring receiver in that room.
Okay. Giuseppe, I don't know if you noticed yet, but Chase all of his hot takes are going to be about his own fantasy team.
Yeah, see, I tried to prevent doing that too. So I really didn't talk about my team too much.
Hey, there's a reason I traded for Mike Williams, because I believe this. That's the reason I traded for him.
Hey, Zep, what are your thoughts on this confidence rating?
So
do you like it? Do you not like it?
Yeah, so as the guy who traded Mike Williams to Chase, there's a reason why I traded him to Chase. And the reason why is because he hasn't had a top 30 year to date. Not saying he can't do it. I was a big fan of Mike Williams. That's why I drafted him for my dynasty team. Just watching him was just severely disappointed. Like, he's got all the talent in the world, and he hasn't put it together. So I think that his ceiling, he could be at that level for you, Chase. But just as like a confidence level, I think it's like a 4 out of 10 for me. Like, I just do not feel confident he's gonna be top 18. Like, not to bash on either Mike Williams or Justin Herbert, but like, there's certain players that had the talent and that just don't translate for some reason. And I haven't been able to figure it out. But Mike Williams he hasn't put it together. And he can have all the talent in the world, but I also think that Austin Eckler coming back to the team after all his injuries, I think will put a damper on Justin Herbert's passing touchdowns as well. So having like those two things together, like, it's tough for Mike Williams to make that jump.
And we know that Josh Palmer, coming out of Tennessee, he's really going to be the number 2 on the Chargers. No. Hey, I got to give this a 6 out of 10. I'm going to split you guys. So I really like Mike Williams in redraft right now. His ADP is super low. I think he does have the talent, however, to be a top 18 wide receiver. And do you want to specify format, whether that be standard or PPR or half point?
I'll call it PPR formats, I guess. I mean, who plays standard anymore anyway? I don't have any more leagues anymore where it's just standard. So like, I'll just say PPR.
Okay. So yeah, like Giuseppe said, in PPR, he has not had a top 30 season. If you're looking standard, I think he was around 23, 22, something like that, 1 year. But this is a guy that has a lot of talent and can make some insane catches. But he's also a guy that I see drop pretty easy catches across the middle at times. So could he do it? Sure. I love where he's going with his ADP, but I'm not super confident just because, like Giuseppe mentioned, he's got the talent, but over the past 4 years, we just haven't seen him actually produce.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Don't get me wrong. I think at the end of the day, what drives it is, as long as he stays healthy, of course, that is a big thing with Mike Williams too. If he stays healthy, I'd say he's good for 100 plus targets easily. I think he's going to end up being a top 5 in yards per catch in the league. So those two things combined are going to help a ton, because if he ends up with 80 catches and he ends up as a top 5 yards per catch guy in the league and he gets 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, that's going to be enough right there just to put him around that range.
I was just going to say, you think easily 100 targets, because he's never gotten 100 targets in his career. The highest he's gotten was 90, and that was 2 years ago.
Because he played with Phillip Rivers forever, and then last year,
Phillip Rivers was the highest target rate.
What's that?
Phillip Rivers gave him the most targets.
Yeah, I know, but it's because Phillip Rivers is like that type of quarterback is not throwing to Mike Williams deeper down the field, where Justin Herbert is going to throw to him more deep down the field. And I know they're trying to be a more methodical offense this year. They're trying to be a little more run game, but at the end of the day, Austin Eckler is a fantastic receiving option, and he's a solid runner too. So they're going to realize that after maybe a week or two that they need to throw the ball more, just because he's such a piece in the receiving game, that they're going to have to use him a little more out wide and use him running routes out the backfield. And in turn, it's going to cause Mike Williams to just get open at more plays.
Yeah, I was going to put in the injury perspective, just like if Mike Williams is going to do that, he can't miss a snap. Like, he can't miss half a game. He can't miss a quarter. He literally needs to be on the field at all times, which, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league, if they play every single snap, like, they could be in that top 20 range. So it's definitely doable, but just like I said, like, it's hard for an NFL player to play every single game. So it's like,
for sure,
Mike Williams needs to play every single game to be in that range. And I don't know. I'm just not very confident in that. But don't get me wrong. I've liked Mike Williams for a while, and I will continue to like him. Like, he's a big catch guy. Like, he's a target. Like, if I was a quarterback, I'd love to play with Mike Williams. He'd be my favorite wide receiver.
He makes me think of T. Higgins a little bit, and the fact that I don't think either of them are really great route runners or have that burning speed. But once you get in the red zone, they're going to be that guy you're looking for. So if he can capitalize on the touchdowns, he could for sure make it into that top 18. But Giuseppe, we're going to swing it over to you. I want to know your first hot take. What's your confidence rating? And then we can tear you apart.
So you guys want to hear? So I went like quarterback, wide receiver, running back, some kind of takes in between there. You guys have any specific you want? I know we just did like a wide receiver.
Whatever you want.
All right. I know we're all big Kyle Pitts fans here, right?
Huge. Wish I could have had him on my fantasy team, and I thought I was going to. But
me too.
Then Johnny pulled the rug under me.
I had a weird looking at the tight end list, and I said, you know what? I'm not too confident Kyle Pitts this year. I'm not too confident Matt Ryan. I'm not too confident these guys around him. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's a beast, but like everything else, like his running game with Mike Davis, it's serviceable, but definitely beatable. I say Kyle Pitts will not be a tight end 1, so top 12 this year.
And your confidence rating in that one?
My confidence rating is skeptical because he could be the only player getting any touches with the Hawks, and it's pretty easy to. I mean, yeah, the Falcons. I'm sorry, I said the Hawks. He could be the only one getting the touches with the Falcons, but my confidence rating, I want to say 5. I mean, just because being a tight end 1 is easy.
Right.
So it's kind of like disrespectful to say he's not going to be a tight end 1, but I do think there are a lot of tight ends this year that can get into that tight end 1 range. So it's like he'll be competing with a few guys there.
Hey, I like that, though. A 5 out of 10 confidence rating means it's a true hot take, so I love that. But, Chase, I'll swing it over to you.
Yeah, that is a very hot take for me. I'm going to give that a 0.1 confidence rating. I don't want to say flat out 0 for anything. I don't want to say flat out 10 for anything, but a 0.1 because, yet again, if that dude's healthy, he's not coming off the field. He's clearly the second most talented offensive piece on that team, and Julio's gone. They got to throw the ball to somebody. You can't throw to Calvin Ridley 190 times a year because it's just going to get him beat to hell, and he's not going to be able to catch him any balls. So Kyle Pitts is going to get a lot of use. He's going to run out of the slot. He's going to, play more of a H-back. He's not really going to be more of an inline tight end. He's going to be strictly a receiving type of threat, and he'll still get some blocking snaps, of course, in the run game, but it's going to be primarily as a receiving option. I think he's a lock to be the most targeted rookie tight end. I mean, the only other one that has a chance is Pat Freiermuth, so then that's not saying much. But even for like second or third year tight ends, I mean, I would be shocked if he's not the most targeted or second most targeted.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give this a 1 out of 10. And the only reason there's 2 reasons, I guess you could say, why he wouldn't be a top or a tight end 1. And that's tight ends in their first year always seem to struggle. Secondly, Matt Ryan doesn't like to target 6'5" absolute monsters in the red zone. Yeah. So he probably won't target Kyle Pitts in the red zone. Those are like the only arguments, but the amount of opportunity he's going to have makes me think he should be a tight end 1 for sure. So, love the hot take, just can't get behind it.
Yeah. And when I was going about where I wanted to put it, I was going to put like top 10, which was definitely would make kind of more sense and stuff. I ended up going with tight end 1, but like there are a lot of tight ends that I like this year. Having said that, I did think about like tight ends in their first year, they're not really integrated into the system as well. I'm sure when you pick Kyle Pitts in the top 5, like you're going to integrate him right away as soon as possible. But also Hayden Hurst is still there. He's a good tight end, I think, and I think they're going to be splitting time. Like, I don't think they're just going to be put the rookie out there, like without any confidence. Like they need to build Kyle Pitts up. I don't think they're just going to throw him into the deep end right away. So like that's why I think like maybe a slow start can kind of put him behind. And there, like I said, there's some players that I think that have a really good chance of being tight end 1s this year.
Yeah, living in Detroit, we know a guy by the name of TJ Hawkinson. Guy came in as the 8th overall selection in his draft class. He was one of the top tight end prospects, yet he didn't have a great year 1. But that's just because tight ends don't seem to have that. So it makes sense. But again, with Julio gone, the opportunity is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, I'll go. I was going to do my pass catchers one first, but I'll put that on the back burner. I'm going to go with my running back one first. So I'm going to give this a 7. 7 confidence rating. This is half-point PPR. The combined duo of Austin Eckler and Joe Mixon will outscore the combined duo of Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara. I am pretty confident, like I said, and I think that's because Austin Eckler, I think he is going to be a running back 1 this year. I'm very excited for what he's going to do. Mixon, I think he's going to be even better, and the offensive line was increased or upgraded by the Bengals, and Frank Pollock is back, who was the offensive line coach and run game coordinator when Joe Mixon led the AFC in rushing yards. And I think that Kamara is going to take a dip in his success this year. I think he's still going to be a great running back, going to be a running back 1 for sure. But without Drew Brees there, I think that his play going to take a little bit of a dip. And Saquon Barkley, gosh, dude, I don't know. This guy has been having to deal with injuries nonstop. He just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I love him. He's an awesome running back. But in fantasy, I can never rely on him. So give me Mixon and Eckler over Kamara and Saquon. And that's combined points. So let's say Mixon has 200, Eckler has 300. Then that's 500 total, So that's where I'm going off of.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 3, and the only reason I'm not going lower than a 3 is because I got a very strong feeling Saquon either doesn't play week 1 and week 2, or he just has limited snaps because, he's still healing from that injury. He had that surgery like a month after the injury, so his technical timeline is going into the regular season. So odds are he's probably going to miss a couple games. So, I don't like accounting for injuries, but that's an obvious one where the guy's already injured, so you kind of have to account for it. So I'll give it a 3 because I heavily disagree on Alvin Kamara. I think, especially with Michael Thomas out, with right now Traquan Smith is hurt too. Their best receiving option is like Marquez Callaway. If that's your top receiver, that's worse than the Lions' top receiving options. Honestly, I like Marquez Callaway. Don't get me wrong, as like a future receiver. I think he's got some chance to carve out a role, but he's not like a top receiver by any means. Kamara's going to be the most targeted running back in the league if healthy. He'll be more targeted than CMC. He'll be more targeted than Eckler. So that right there, especially in the PPR formats, he's gonna. I wouldn't be shocked if he has over 100 catches. Honestly, CMC was the last one to do it. He's done it a couple times. Kamara's usually in that 80s range. He had like 3 straight years of 88 receptions to start his career, which is a little weird. But I would honestly be shocked if he's below 100 receptions. And then Saquon, if he's healthy from week 3 through 18, he is the focal point of that offense too. It's just they're going to be getting way too much work, and I like Mixon and Eckler too, but all 4 of those guys are guaranteed RB1s. I would say this year. If I had to do like my preseason predictions, I have both Kamara and Saquon safely above Eckler and Mixon though.
I like that take. I'm going pretty high on that. There's 2 reasons why. Both, like you said, the Saints, the offense is a mess right now. With the best wide receiver being Callaway, which even is up for debate, like he's not even amazing. And then you put in that their quarterback situation, they have no idea. If they play Hill, that really hurts Kamara just because he has the ability to run, so he can take those touchdowns that Kamara can't have. With Winston, who knows? He has no one to really throw to, so it's like it's a mess over there. And having said that, same with the Giants. I'm not a fan of the Giants' offense. I know they just signed Kenny Galladay, but like everyone around there, I'm not a big fan of. Like Daniel Jones, I think he's okay, but I think he's a turnover waiting to happen. He's like, so it's like you can't play a game like that. You have to run it with Saquon, and I think he's going to get worn down if they play him like that. So it's like when I see Mixon with the wide receiver corp around him, hopefully Joe Burrow will be ready to go week 1, like new offensive line, new offensive coordinator, like those things are huge for Joe Mixon. Austin Eckler, I think, is ready for a huge year. I got a 6 out of 10 out for this.
And that's part of the reason why I love this hot take, and it's because do I think Saquon and Kamara are better pure running backs than Eckler and Mixon? Sure. Do I think their offenses are better? Hell no. I think the Bengals offense and the Chargers offense are going to be better than the Saints offense and the Giants offense. Plus, Chase, you were saying that Saquon's going to be the focal point of the Giants. I agree. He will be the guy that gets the most touches out of everyone. However, I think those touches are going to go down with the amount of additions they made. They brought in Kenny Galladay for a huge chunk of change. They brought in Kyle Rudolph at tight end. They brought in Kadarius Toney at wide receiver. They brought in a lot of players that I think Saquon still going to be the guy with the most touches, but not going to be the same giant workload we saw from him in his first year, as well as the little bit that we saw before he got injured over the past couple of years.
I would say once he's fully healthy, and I think it'll be probably the first 2 weeks, as I said before, on a per game basis, he'll be at about where he was his rookie year. He's going to get that workload at the end of the day, because it's not going to be just running; it's going to be catching the ball. Kenny Galladay's going to be that wide receiver number 1 on that team. After that, Sterling Shepard is probably the next best receiver, and he's a solid NFL receiver, but it's already been kind of shown that him and Daniel Jones just don't really work. They've already talked. Kadarius Toney is going to be he's going to be slowly brought into the offense. They're not really looking to use him too heavily this year, so I don't have much faith in Kadarius Toney getting more than 30 touches in total, whatever he does this year. So it's going to be a lot of work for Saquon, and if he can hold up his health, he's got probably the best pure ability at the running back position in the league, just based on just pure athleticism. His build it's just so unique. So as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he's just bound to be an unstoppable machine.
I'm really excited for this one. I can't wait to see the result of this hot take. But Chase, we're going to come back to you for your second hot take of the episode. What do you got?
All right. Well, even though you rag on me for selecting my own fantasy players, I trade for guys for a reason. So this is my only, of my 3 takes, I should say 2 of them involve my own fantasy guys. The third one does not. So I'll get this one out of the way real quick. James Robinson outscores Travis Etienne this season in every single format, and I will go a 7 out of 10 on this one. So I'm confident in it. I'm not full confidence because at the end of the day, Travis Etienne's still a first round pick and he's going to get used. But it's already been kind of known that James Robinson is going to be used as their primary runner. He's going to be the red zone guy, and I think this is going to be it's going to be an inconsistent offense because it is so young. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for it to succeed. So when they get into the red zone, James Robinson will be the guy that's on the field. He won't come off at all. He'll be vulturing touchdowns. He'll have double-digit touchdowns easily. He's going to end up with the most carries in that backfield. So it really just comes down to how much work Etienne gets in the pass game. I think Etienne's bound to be a lot more featured once you get to the weeks 4, 5, 6 range and so on. But to start the season, I don't think it's going to be a ton of work. If I had to guess, I could say Etienne gets 50 receptions this year and maybe 100 or so carries, and everything else is going to James Robinson. It's just going to be too much workload in favor of James Robinson for Etienne to outscore him.
I like the take. I'm not a big fan of Etienne, and I really like James Robinson. I think he's a great running back. Some things that scare me, the new coaching change, Urban Meyers, I don't know what he's going to plan. James Robinson showed out in training camp. He made the squad, became the number 1 running back really quickly. Here's the one thing that I like about this is Cam Akers last season, the first 6 weeks, non-existent. He probably had 4 points in the first 6 weeks. I can see that happen to Travis Etienne. And putting him back that much, even if he does have a good second half of the season, I think James Robinson will have enough to surpass him. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
All right.
I'm coming in with a hot 4 out of 10. I just think there's so many things going against James Robinson here. They took Etienne with a first-round pick. They're going to want to use him. They got the new coaching staff. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne have amazing camaraderie because I don't know if you guys know this. It might be a shock to you, but they played college together.
Oh, no way.
Also, hey, gotta ask, how good is the Jags defense?
Terrible.
So
hey.
They are going
slightly
to be
above terrible.
They are going to be down in games a lot. So I think Etienne, as the passing option, is going to be in the game a lot. You talked about James Robinson. You think easily he gets double-digit touchdowns? I think I got to disagree with that because as someone who has watched the Bengals, a struggling team with a new look, there was not a lot of times where we had red zone opportunities where we were in the 20-yard line, where even we were in within the 10-yard line. We didn't have a lot of those. We had the, 20, 30-yard touchdown passes that is what was making us score. So I just don't see the Jags being in the red zone that often. And when they are, sure, I think that there's a good chance that James Robinson gets a touchdown. I also think Trevor Lawrence can run it in. I also think he can pass it. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 because I don't think it's impossible. I think that there's definitely a chance for it to happen. But with all those factors, the defense is going to be bad. I think Travis Etienne is going to be on the field more. They've already got their really good relationship between quarterback and running back with them. I just think things are pointing against it. So I'll take Etienne 6 out of 10 versus James Robinson's 4 out of 10.
I was just going to say, obviously, I think Etienne's going to be the pass-catching guy, like the featured pass-catching running back. But James Robinson got 60 catches last year in 14 games. That's quite a bit. Like, it's not like he can't catch the ball. So I don't see why they couldn't keep him on the field. I can see maybe Travis Etienne being a third down guy, but hey, when you have a bad team, you don't have many third downs. Or you have third downs, but you don't have many opportunities to play. Like, you're gonna have to make a play. So I don't know. I really think it's hard for me to see a path where Etienne surpasses James Robinson in year one.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off of that, I don't do predictions necessarily in terms of guys touches per year. Just kind of an idea of how I feel based on kind of their talent, what their offense does. I don't use true analytics, but I would have to guess that there's going to be about anywhere from 70 to 80 catches for that backfield this year, and I'll lean a little more on the higher side just to be generous. So if that happens, I'd say it's 55 receptions for Etienne and 20 for James Robinson, then give the other 5 to Carlos Hyde there. So if James Robinson gets 20 receptions, that'll turn into about 2 touchdowns right there. And then other touches can turn into 7 or 8 touchdowns total. He's got enough talent. He's got enough vision as a runner where he can break free. He's not necessarily going to have that long range speed like Etienne does, but he's able to break free and he's able to generate some chances. I just think he's got too much talent to not be a main factor, or a big factor, I should say.
The one thing that Zepp said that left me with, and this is going to be my final point here, it's going to be hard for Etienne to surpass James Robinson. I think the Jags picking Etienne in the first round makes me already think that if he hasn't already surpassed James Robinson, it won't be that difficult because you don't spend a first-round pick on a running back when you just had an undrafted rookie get 1,000 yards and 10 total touchdowns. So I think that's my final point, that Etienne, a guy that I don't think – I think he'll have all the opportunity in the world to surpass James Robinson. I don't think it'll be a struggle.
And my final thing with that is Urban Meyer made it kind of clear that Kadarius Toney was the guy they wanted there. So I think that if anything, Etienne's closer to playing what a Kadarius Toney role would be, where him and Laviska Shenault are going to get kind of generated touches and like jet passes or like wide receiver runs. They're going to get those types of plays where I don't think Etienne's going to get traditional backfield play too often. He'll get it at some point, but it's not going to be what you'd see out of a traditional first round running back. All
right, Zap, let's move over to your second hot take. What are we looking at?
Oh, I got some spicy ones. I might have went too spicy on these.
Oh boy.
Jeez. Okay, this is going to sound crazy.
I'm ready for it.
Jalen Hurts will not have more QB1 weeks than Fitzpatrick.
Yes, I love this.
He will not?
Will not. He won't have more. So I'll give the Fitzpatrick the equal same QB1 weeks as Jalen Hurts or better.
Okay.
I love this. What's your confidence level?
My confidence level, I want to say it's pretty high. I'm giving it a 7. Here's why. I'm not a big fan of Jalen Hurts, first of all. I think he's getting way overhyped. He had a good end of the season, but I think it's game plannable. I think once people know what's going on, I think you could stop Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have any wide receiver options that I like. Jalen Reagor, I'm not a big fan of. He's a big, deep threat. I don't think Jalen Hurts got the arm for that. I think they're going to be very one-dimensional offense. I think Miles Sanders will be the only type of person that can generate an offense, and he struggles in himself. So it's I think they're really going to struggle this year, especially offensively. Their new head coach, the offensive coordinator for the Colts, never played with a mobile quarterback. He had Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, and then Jacoby Brissett, I think, in the past 3 years that he was there as an offensive coordinator. I don't think he knows how to game plan with a mobile quarterback. I think when you have those quarterbacks, you're just going to keep them in the pocket and throw the ball, run the ball. I think they're going to struggle all around. And having said that, I think Fitzpatrick's in a place where he could throw the ball, or he could just do what he does. Like, there's some good options. I think Curtis Samuel's a great addition to his offense. I think Adam Humphries is underrated in that, like, Cole Beasley type role where he's if Fitzpatrick can't throw it down the field, he throws it 5 yards and gets those 5 yards with, like, Adam Humphries. Like, I think that everything's set up for this to be possible.
See, I'm all in on this. I'll go with an 8 out of 10 on this one. I like this one a lot. I think Jalen Hurts is a fine fantasy quarterback. He's not a good NFL quarterback. I think his completion percentage was 52 or 53% last year. It's one of those two numbers. I mean, that's atrocious. You can't get worse than that. So, like, he's bound to improve on that at least a little bit. But I will not be shocked at all if he's, like, safely below 60% at the end of the season. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, those are the only two fantasy options I like from that team. And it's not even that's a love. It's just a like. I think, like, those two guys just have too much talent where they're bound to get open. And, you know, if Jalen Hurts can complete passes to them, like, 50% of the time, they're just bound to make enough plays out of it where they're going to be fine. Where, you know, Fitzpatrick, he always produces it for a fantasy level whenever he's a starting quarterback. For whatever reason, he's just never really been a true starter. But he's a big-time, big-play threat. He loves throwing the ball downfield. He can run the ball. He can kind of do everything you want to. He's going to be more accurate than Jalen Hurts. I like the options. The receiving options a lot better, too. You got a better running back. You just got a better kind of whole system in front of you where the Eagles is definitely underwhelming. So I love this one.
Oh, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I got to give it a 5 out of 10. And let me specify why. It was the way you worded it. So the fact that you said Ryan Fitzmagic will have the same or more amount of week ones, quarterback 1 weeks, there we go, than Jalen Hurts, that's what scares me. I think that Fitzmagic will finish as a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but when it comes to week 1 weeks, I think there's times where Jalen Hurts will be able to put in 2 rushing touchdowns in 1 week. So in the AFC, NFC, or East talk, I said that Ryan Fitzmagic could be an MVP of the division because I like him so much in this new scheme. It's just the week 1 quarterback 1 weeks that I can't get behind because I don't think Ryan Fitzmagic is going to have a ton of top 12 performances, but I can see easily a whole season of top 15 performances where Jalen Hurts, he might have a couple 8s, but also a couple 28s.
Yeah, and here's why I kind of said that too. Looking back at, like, Jalen Hurts' game log, I know it's very inconsistent given he was playing half games, full games, you know, so, but he was kind of in, like, he'd either have a really good game or he'd have a really bad game. Like, and that's kind of where it's like, he can have some good games. So he'll have, like, 4 QB1 weeks, but the rest of them are going to be QB2s or almost like out of the question, like, he got 4 points that week. So that's why I said it like that, because, like, Fitzmagic, he can have a bad game and still have a rushing touchdown as well. Like, that's just how he is. Like, he can have a bad game, throw 3 touchdowns. Like, he's always in contention for that QB1 week, where Jalen Hurts can just, like, be completely out of contention 1 week and then next week get a 40-point week. Like, that's how I see Jalen Hurts. So it's like, that's why I worded it that way, because at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts might end up generating more points, but I think Fitzmagic will be more consistent throughout the weeks.
I like Fitzmagic a lot, but the QB1 weeks just scare me off a little bit. So my second hot take, I'm going to give it a 7. Give me a 7 out of 10. And this is a 3-parter, so don't just think it's one and done. So, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Judy, both guys on my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah, look at that. All your own fantasy players.
Chase Claypool will all solidify themselves as the wide receiver 1 on their respective teams. So that means CeeDee Lamb has to finish higher than Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, etc. Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, etc., and same with Chase Claypool. I think that all 3 of these guys are the wide receiver 1 from their respective teams for this reason. CeeDee Lamb, I think that he is already the most consistent wide receiver on their team. Amari Cooper, extremely talented, tends to be very inconsistent in fantasy. Chase Claypool, big play ability, a lot of touchdowns. The Steelers offense, I don't think is going to be very good. Don't think is going to be great in the dink and dunk. So Chase Claypool going to have to make those big plays. I think he can outscore the likes of Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster. This is the hard part. Jerry Judy. Do I like Jerry Judy to be better than Cortland Sutton? Man, that's tough. But if he can fix his drop issues, which I think he can, he was the best wide receiver in college for a year or maybe even 2 years. He was my second wide receiver coming out of the draft, only behind CeeDee Lamb. I think that the route running on him, the just big playability after the catch, everything that Jerry Judy does is phenomenal outside of the drop issues. So if he can fix that and he gets the targets, I think he can outscore Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a 2 out of 10 on this one. We'll save the Broncos for last because I think that's the most likely one. We'll start with the Steelers first. I think it's the least likely one. I think Deontay Johnson is very safely that wide receiver one, especially in the fantasy realm on that team with the way Big Ben throws the ball, and his arm is incredibly weak. He came back from the elbow injury last year and was throwing kind of awkward balls, couldn't really do well downfield. And Claypool made some magic in the short game, but at the end of the day, that's Deontay Johnson's area. He's gonna be good in the shorter range. He's gonna be good, like really short to mid, like anywhere like 15 yards within. And I think that's really where the passing game is gonna live for the Steelers. So I would safely say that Deontay Johnson's above Chase Claypool. Weekly consistency. Sure, CeeDee Lamb is probably gonna be that guy. I'd be shocked if Amari Cooper was higher than him in that realm. But at the end of the day, Amari Cooper, he is that receiver who has those 35, 40-point fantasy games, and he has like 4 or 5 of those a year. And then he has games where he has 0, 1, 2 points. So they're both going to be high-scoring receivers. Like Amari Cooper's going to benefit based off of those big matchups. But at the end of the day, he's just going to score just enough more than CeeDee Lamb. I think they both end up closer to wide receiver ones than the other tandems that we have here. I would not be surprised if they're both, even top 15 or 16 receivers. But I think Amari Cooper's just going to slightly edge them out. And then with the Broncos, it all depends who starts at quarterback. If Drew Lock's in, it's Cortland Sutton's season. If it's Teddy Bridgewater, then it's Jerry Judy's season. I don't like Drew Lock at all. I don't think he's going to win the job at the end of the day. So, I feel better about Jerry Judy doing it because Teddy Bridgewater will be that guy. He'll be throwing a lot more of the safer plays. That type of receiver is who Teddy Bridgewater likes throwing to. But if for whatever reason it isn't Teddy and it's Drew Lock, he's going to take more chances. Cortland Sutton's going to be used more downfield. Likes of KJ Hamler too, with his downfield speed, he's going to be used a little more. So I just don't think Jerry Judy could live if Drew Lock were the guy.
It's funny. I think we all got like different perspectives on those matchups. Like, I think CeeDee Lamb's a lock to beating Cooper. I really do. I'm like, Amari Cooper is so inconsistent, and with his nagging injuries that have been a problem, since he's been in the league, and it's still a problem to this day. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to really take a jump this year. And CeeDee Lamb didn't really get to play with Dak Prescott last year. He's got Dak now. Like, he's going to have a significantly better guy throwing to him than the last, the quarterbacks that they put in the end of last season.
Real quick, before we move on. By the way, while Amari Cooper was playing with Dak, he was the wide receiver one in all fantasy until Dak got hurt. Just saying.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb wasn't there though. He was there, but he wasn't like ready to get to play though. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I do acknowledge that, but I do think Amari Cooper's the most inconsistent option. And he's the most consistent player that could be like wide receiver one, And having said that, I think CeeDee Lamb's ready for a big jump this year. So I think CeeDee Lamb just barely edges him there. The Jerry Judy Cortland Sutton is a tough one because I haven't seen Sutton play in a year. He's been out for so long. Who knows if he's going to come back ready? So I do think Jerry Judy could have the edge there. I think I do acknowledge that Teddy Bridgewater is the better quarterback for Jerry Judy, and Drew Lock will be more willing to throw it downfield to the Cortland Sutton. And I do think Teddy Bridgewater is the better quarterback, so I hope he plays. But I think I got Jerry Judy's name on it. And then who's the last one? Claypool. That's where I get kind of sketched out. I just don't. Claypool was amazing last season. He had some multiple touchdown games, and it's just hard to just recreate that. There's just seasons where you just have great opportunities and you have big games. And if Claypool doesn't get those big games, he's not as high on the list as everyone thinks. So it's like, I think Deontay Johnson's a great wide receiver. Speaking of dropping issues, every time I watch him, I'm like, dude, you're wide open. Why don't you just catch it? Like, you're so good. Just catch the ball. That's all you need to do. Like, I think he's thinking too far ahead is like what he's going to do after the catch. If he just catches the ball, he could be like an easy wide receiver too. And I think that he surpasses Claypool. So that confidence level is with Lamb slightly beating Cooper, Jerry Judy, I think, having a better chance of beating Sutton, and then Deontay Johnson with Claypool. I want to say I'm like a 3 out of 10.
You know what I absolutely love, gents? Did you know that Chase Claypool outscored Deontay Johnson last year?
Yeah, I did. It was on the back of Deontay Johnson getting benched for like 4 straight games because he couldn't stop dropping the ball. But once he figured it out, like if you take out those games,
he didn't figure it out.
He down the stretch, he started playing a little better, and his catch rate was higher. So like if you take out those numbers, if I don't know anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure he outscored him minus those 4 games.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Claypool had like 3 or 4 amazing games that were better than Deontay Johnson's whole year. You take 2 of those out of there, he's not anywhere near Deontay Johnson. That's just how I feel. Like if he doesn't have those amazing games, like he can have good games, but I don't think he's gonna have a 45-point game again. That's my issue with that.
My thinking is Deontay Johnson, 144 targets last year. Chase Claypool, only 108. That's going to change. I don't think that Deontay Johnson is going to have nearly 40 more targets than Chase Claypool. Also, the big playability, I think that's just Chase Claypool as himself. Could it go down? Sure. But usually when a wide receiver comes into their second year, that's when they see their biggest jump. So I'm excited to see that. I hate all of them because they're on the Steelers. So I'm not trying to be like, oh, I love this guy. I think that all of the wide receiver options are actually going to be pretty bad for the Steelers. But give me the big playability of Chase Claypool over Deontay Johnson because Deontay Johnson has had drop problems his whole career. It's not like Jerry Judy where, just one off season, but he was very consistent in college. No. Deontay Johnson has had those drop problems. That's why I wasn't the first one wide receiver. So I am confident that Claypool will, for the second year in a row, outscore Deontay Johnson. And it's funny because Jerry Judy is the one I'm most concerned about, whereas Claypool is the one you guys are most concerned about, even though he's already done it once.
Yeah, I just don't think it's bound to stick.
All right, Chase, let's finish up your third hot take.
All right, finishing off with the Steelers, I should say sticking with the Steelers, Pat Freiermuth outscores every single second-year tight end en route to being Pittsburgh's top fantasy tight end and a tight end 1, and I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10 on this one. Pat Freiermuth is already a significantly better blocker than any other tight end on the Steelers, and he's a very clearly talented receiver as well. And Ebron, honestly, Ebron is not that great of a tight end. He's a fine pass catcher, but he's irrelevant when it comes to the block game. He's relevant as a run blocker, as a pass blocker, whatever you need him to do in that realm. He's irrelevant. I think by week 1, like before the season even starts, Pat Freiermuth is just going to very quickly usurp him at the top of the depth chart. He's not going to come off the field. He's going to be, that rarely used, every down rookie tight end. He's going to probably profile as one of the better blockers in the league too. I would not be shocked at all. And if he gets 60, 70 catches, don't be surprised at all.
That was a lot to think about right now. What other tight ends were in his class? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Well, so I think you said last class.
For year 2 tight ends. So pretty much it's Cole Kmet and Adam Troutman. I think he outscores both those guys en route to becoming the leading receiving tight end on the Steelers and a tight end 1 in fantasy football.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah. So, and, with Cole Kmet, he's got Jimmy Grandpa still with him. Jimmy Graham is going to get targets. He got targets last year, and I don't think it's going to change a lot because Jimmy Graham still kind of showed he had it last year. And then Adam Troutman, I do like him. I think he's got the better chance of the 2. But with the way that the Saints offense is, I think it's just going to be so heavily when it's a pass. It's going to be Alvin Kamara is the receiving option number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. And then they'll start looking elsewhere. They're going to really focus on trying to get the ball to Kamara until Michael Thomas comes back. And then after that, maybe Adam Troutman's the guy at that point. But it's going to be a lot of running out of the Saints too because they kind of have no choice. So the way the Steelers are going to be, I just think that it's going to be too much opportunity for Pat Freiermuth to botch.
It's such a tough sell for me because you said he's going to be a tight end 1. I didn't say Kyle Pitts is going to be a tight end 1. So I have to say Freiermuth has more points than Kyle Pitts. Like that's where I'm at right now. Well, it kind of helps my argument that Kyle Pitts could not be a tight end 1, but it also, like, it's contradictory. So it's like, I'm between two minds. I don't think he's going to be a tight end 1. But I do think he's a good player. Like, I think he's a good option. There's, like, a few things that have to go wrong. And I think Troutman will actually have more points than him this year as well. So it's like, having said those two things, I'm going to say a 3 out of 10 because I do think it's possible. But it's unlikely for me.
Yeah, I got to give it a 1 out of 10. I just talked about how I don't like the Steelers' offense. I think it's going to be a pretty inconsistent offense this year because I think Big Ben sucks. And I think that even though I like Freiermuth, Eric Ebron had a pretty solid season for the Steelers last year. And I think that they're going to be a 1A, 1B type. They're both going to get a lot of workload. I don't think that Freiermuth's just going to steal the job early on and get 80% of the tight end snaps. I don't think that's going to be a thing. And then when you look at it, let's just say he does do that, he's still the 5th option behind the 3 wide receivers and Najee Harris. So all the opportunity that you were talking about, I don't see that opportunity there for him. I don't see it for Cole Kmet either, so I think he could beat Cole Kmet for sure. Adam Troutman, I don't know about that, but the thing that really gets me is him being a tight end 1 and him being the best tight end on his team. I just can't see all of that working out together, so going to be a 1 out of 10 for me.
Here's the beauty of the whole tight end 1. Pretty much tight end, like 5 through 17, that range is pretty much just a touchdown difference. So if he happens to get one more touchdown than the next guy, he's just going to be one of those top tight ends. That's the beauty of the tight end position, which is why I'm willing to take that chance.
Yeah, it's very possible, but I don't see him getting more than like 500 yards. So, and I think your Irv Smiths, your Noah Fants, even Adam Troutman, Robert Tonyan, I think all those guys are going to be over 500 yards with, I don't know, 5-6 touchdowns, maybe more.
Where were kind of out in Irv Smith this year?
Yeah, because you traded him away.
Exactly.
Yeah. If he was on his team, he'd be like, "Oh, this guy's the best player I've ever seen." But, but like now you guys are talking my game with Kyle Pitts. I know Kyle Pitts is a specimen, but we're bringing up tight end names that could get some good points here. Like we just kind of named the top 10 tight ends.
We're going back to your Kyle Pitts.
I'm just saying. Like we're naming tight ends here that could be tight end 1s. That's what I was doing. I was looking on the list and I'm like, it is touchdown dependent. Like these guys can just randomly get some touchdowns and make it surpass them. So that's like just bringing that back. But
that's why Logan Thomas was so good last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why Robert Tonyan was as good as he was. He had 10 touchdowns and he caught like 95% of his passes. That's
absolutely. I mean, like
I think he's still going to be a tight end 1 with Aaron Rodgers coming back.
Yeah,
like pretty easily.
I think so too.
I'd make money if I'd make a bet on it right now if you wanted to, Chase. I was gonna say I'd make money on it because I would, but
I literally said I think he's gonna be a tight end 1 too. He's closer to the end, so like, what am I gonna bet on here?
Top 10 tight ends.
No.
Oh, okay. All right, Giuseppe, let's go with your last hot take here.
All right, let's see which one I want to go with here. We talked a lot about wide receivers. I don't know. You want a wide receiver or a running back 1? You tell me.
Give me a running back 1.
All right, that's what I thought. A name that's been on both your teams. Not very high, and I'm glad he's not there anymore. Daryl Henderson will not finish in the top 30 running backs this season.
Top 30.
Top 30.
Top 30. What's your confidence level on this one?
I want to say a 5 out of 10. I've seen Todd Gurley not be able to move the ball in that offense. You got
that's because he's crippled.
Well, now he is. But Todd Gurley was one of the best running backs at one point.
For sure.
Then he stopped being able to move the ball. Daryl Henderson was supposed to be his replacement. Played okay. Cam Akers took him over. I think that says something about him. I don't think he can move the ball very well. And I think that Matt Stafford's going to take over with that offense. Daryl Henderson, I don't think is a good pass catcher. I think that they're going to struggle, and I think Stafford's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. That's not going to Daryl Henderson, and that's a big thing for Daryl Henderson. So that's where Daryl Henderson makes his money. That's where he gets his fantasy points. I think he's going to struggle this year.
Well, I'm gonna go with a 1 out of 10 on this one. At the end of the day, Daryl Henderson last year had more yards on less attempts than Cam Akers. So like Cam Akers, I think was a very inflated, overvalued running back. Still thought he was good, someone who had legit opportunity, and he probably was going to be like the guy in that offense. So that was going to kind of help his case. But now that he's gone, Daryl Henderson is the guy. Next is Xavier Jones or Jake Funk. I liked Jake Funk coming out of Wisconsin, but nothing more than a specialist guy that I would not even give more than 80 touches a year. He's someone that you can use here and there to kind of catch, the defense sleeping and just have him use a different type of role. And then Xavier Jones is nothing special either. I think he just, like, default has to get too much work where it'd be impossible for him to finish outside of that. I don't think he's going to be an RB1. I don't think he has that talent, but to finish anywhere from 13 to 30, I think that's such an easy bet for him.
I'm gonna go 1 out of 10 too. I think that Daryl Henderson. I thought this was a stat I heard. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was like a top 5 back last year when it came to efficiency. So again,
yeah, he was. He was incredibly efficient.
Okay, because that could be completely wrong, but he finished as the 36th running back last year, and that was with Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown there. And just a bad offense because Jared Goff sucks. So sorry, Lions fans. But the offense is going to be better. I think the opportunity is going to be phenomenal because Malcolm Brown's not going to be vulturing your end zone touchdowns. Cam Akers isn't going to come in and steal all of your reps, even though you were way more efficient. So I think Daryl Henderson, definitely a top 30 running back. So sorry, Seth.
That's fair. Man, I might have went too hot on a few of these. But his durability is also an issue too. So I put that in perspective. Like, he's not generally a very durable player. So that's why I kind of put in there, like, that was kind of hot, that 30. I was thinking not making RB2, so like maybe like top 25, but yeah, 30 is kind of harsh now that I think about it. Because, I mean, if he gets 3 touchdowns, he's almost already there.
Yeah.
That was harsh.
All right, my final hot take. Chase is not going to like this one, but that makes me very happy because I'm going to love it. This is specifically redraft, obviously. Jonathan Taylor will not be worth his ADP. His ADP right now is the 108. He will not be a top 8 player in fantasy or skill position, I'll say. Not quarterbacks, because quarterbacks always outscore. But Jonathan Taylor, not worth his ADP at 108. Just the Colts prioritize bringing back Marlon Mack on a 1-year deal. Nyheim Hines is the clear pass catcher out of the backfield. And I say clear because he is a top 3 pass catching back in the whole league, in my mind. So I think he is that good. I like Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to be a running back 1. But for him to be going 108, a little bit too rich for me.
What's your confidence level? I don't think you said it.
9 out of 10.
All right, how about this?
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I think Chase agrees with this because he's trying to get all his picks back. I think he kind of agrees with this. He kind of sees this downward slope happening before he.
I don't think
something.
he does because he was going. How about this? How about that? Means he was gonna hit me with a 1 out of 10.
I want to hear it.
How about this?
Speak.
10 out of 10 because he flat out is not. Because his ADP, by the time we get like closer to the season, his ADP is going to drop now that Quentin Nelson is hurt, now that Carson Wentz is hurt. Like, his ADP is going to drop. People aren't going to take him in the first round anymore. Once he has about that, early second round to mid second round to ADP, then I'm all in on that, like that 100%. But in redraft, I was not taking him in the first round just because I think there's better values, better options. I think he's more likely to finish bottom half RB1 if he finishes RB1. I don't think top half is probably going to happen, especially with the shape of the offense at the moment. That just really kind of hurt everything at the end of the day. He's still a ridiculous option, and he's got enough ability where he can, outcome. Like, he can outproduce, the guys that are behind him. He can just outprove everybody. He can easily become a top 6 running back, but I would safely bet that he's going to be a bottom 6 running back. And a bottom 6 running back at the 8 spot is probably not great value because your odds are you're passing on, like a Tyreek Hill or a Devontae Adams, and I'd rather have those types of guys.
Yeah, I'm smashing the
10
out of 10, but like I'm not. Like, I was going to say that even before the injuries, like, nothing against Jonathan Taylor. He's a great running back. But, like, it's very rare that someone that high is ever worth their value. Like, first round picks are just so overinflated. Like, you expect so much out of them that it's so hard to get that value for them. I think the only person that's ever and the only person that's worth in the first round is like McCaffrey. Like, literally, like, other than that, like, those people can play amazing. But like a Michael Thomas last year, injuries happen. You know, like you have a bad year. Like, you have to have a perfect season as a first round pick to be worth it. So I just don't think Jonathan Taylor's gonna have a perfect season.
And I think, I am smashing the Clyde Edwards stock where his ADP is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I want all of his stock where his ADP is versus the Jonathan Taylor stock. However, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire could also outscore Jonathan Taylor. I think he's got more opportunity, not as much players in the backfield to take away the passing game and everything. And I think it's going to be a better offense too. That could be, that might have been more of a hot take that I should have went with, but.
Yeah, I mean, the counterpoint to that is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in the same exact offense as last year. I mean, like all the main options haven't changed at all. Sammy Watkins is gone, but he wasn't really like a main option at the end of the day. He was just kind of like a supplementary option. So really, with the Chiefs, it's just about their improved offensive line. So if he can be a more efficient runner, then he's got the chance. But in terms of everything else, like nothing else has changed. So we saw what Jonathan Taylor did last year. We saw what Clyde Edwards-Helaire did last year. I would still bet that Taylor is the better running back. It might only be a 2 or 3 running back like spot difference finish at the end of the year, but I will still pretty safely take Taylor there.
Clyde also dealt with some injuries, but yeah. Well, that's really gonna do it for the hot take and debate fantasy edition. But one last hot take from me. You guys don't get a say. Sorry, you don't get an extra one. Chase and Mike will finish higher in the EBDB DFL than Giuseppe this year in our Dynasty League. How about that for a hot take?
Let's change this up. If one of you will finish higher than me, I'll be surprised.
But both of us will.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that 0 out of 10.
If we both do, you just gotta fold your team. Okay?
I will gladly hand off my best players to both you, split it in half.
Thank you.
If you guys both will surpass me this year.
Yeah, that's
you got Swift and all everybody else. Cool.
That's fine because I'll get Swift and the first. Wait, no, I wouldn't get the first overall.
No, you wouldn't get first overall.
Yeah. No. Okay. Never mind. I'll have 8 picks in the next draft.
The reason why is not because I don't think you can, it's because I don't think you want to.
I don't want to, but also I don't think I can because right now
what I'm saying is like if you traded every single pick you had, I think you'd have a chance you'd have a really good chance to pass. Yeah. What I'm saying is I don't think you want to do that.
No.
You have the ability to do it, but I mean it's not what you really want.
When Michael Carter, Denzel Mims, and Tyler Johnson are all in your starting lineup, that kind of says how good the team is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no disrespect, but you're waiting on another year, which is respectable.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Giuseppe, thanks so much for coming on. Why don't you let everyone know where they can check you out, check out the Flashy Stats Fantasy Podcast, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to do this episode and have a fantasy football talk. I've been wanting to do it forever. Me and a few buddies got fantasy basketball. If you like fantasy football, try out fantasy basketball. It's much more hands-on because there's daily games, but we love it. There's a game every day. You don't have to wait for a Thursday. You don't have to wait for a Sunday. You're constantly looking at your lineup. It could be overwhelming from a football perspective, but if you really enjoy it, you'll like it. You can check us out anywhere you can get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Flashy Stats Fantasy Podcast. Check us out if you want to listen to some basketball talk.
Good stuff. And make sure to go back to the boys and let them know that Jason Tatum, top 10 fantasy player.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm so down for that.
Top 5.
I love Jason Tatum. I am so big on Jason.
And he's the only player on the Celtics right now, which makes me really sad, but whatever. Chase, we're not going to shout your stuff out because you're trash. But if you
literally do everything that I do.
If you do want to check out like Chase's personal, just at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter, his at is right there in the bio because is it? Did I put it in there?
I don't know. You probably not.
I don't know. Maybe. Whatever. Well, that was it for the show. We want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. If you would go over to Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. Give us a follow there. You can stay up to date with all that we do. Also, we have an Instagram and Facebook that you can stay up to date with.
No, I'm not in there. I'm not in your bio.
Okay.
Douche.
Well, I mean, am I in the bio?
Nope.
Okay, well, I mean, I created the show, and I'm not even in the bio, so
Okay,
that's like high class. Like, you got to really do something fancy to be in the bio.
Whatever.
Again, Instagram, Facebook, those will be down in the description. You can check us out there. If you're listening on YouTube, if you could, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to turn on notifications. Let us know some of your hottest takes when it comes to fantasy football this year. If you're listening on a podcast platform, if you could, please follow us and give us a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming out, giving us a listen, and as always, we're not professionals.